The Turunmaa-class gunboat, which is internationally defined as corvette, is generally overlooked, but it is a historically noteworthy warship. FNS Turunmaa and FNS Karjala, two vessels of this class, attracted international attention with their state-of-the-art propulsion systems and electronics of their time. Still, they were bizarre in many ways. Now, we are investigating the Turunmaa-class, the first major surface combatant designed and built by Finland after the Second World War. Please don't forget to subscribe to our channel before we start, and give us a thumbs up if you like our video. To be notified of our new videos, please click the bell button. Also, you can now click the join button to support our channel. And as always, we would greatly appreciate all the likes, comments and shares. The Turunmaa-class, which we will call it as corvette like the international classification, was an unusual surface combatant. It was a small naval vessel with a big gun for the rest of the world. On the other hand, given the 1960s it was built, it was a warship that could be considered large for Finland. To better understand the Turunmaa-class, we should look at the political conditions of this country at that time and the rooted gunboat tradition of the Finnish Navy. After the Second World War, Helsinki quickly realized that it could not trust the war-weary Western countries' military aid in case of a possible Soviet invasion. But Stalin did not want an adventure over Finland. Keeping Finland as a buffer zone with the West was a preferable choice for Moscow. So, a neutral Finland was the best solution for all parties. Still, the USSR could not allow this country to have a sizable military power. Thus, the 1947 Paris peace treaties limited the Finnish Navy to a fleet of no more than 10,000 tons and 4,500 men. Also, this naval force would not have weapon systems such as torpedoes, submarines, mines and missiles. So Finland reorganized its navy based on the limitations. Helsinki acquired frigates from both the Eastern and Western blocs. But the Finnish naval staff knew that the big warships were not suitable to protect the country's maritime interests. Especially considering the restrictions, the Navy would have only a small number of them. Also, the big ship meant deeper drought. On the other hand, the Finnish maritime interests were on the shallow waters. The Finnish Navy's experiences of the Second World War had proved that the lightweight gunboats were quite versatile. They had successfully performed anti-surface warfare, submarine hunting, escorting, providing fire support for ground troops, mine-laying and mine-sweeping missions. These vessels had even acted as motherships for the submarines. So, in the late 1950s, Finland decided to design and build indigenous minor and major surface combatants in its local shipyards. The first step of this plan was the 40-ton Nuoli-class gunboats. Yet these fast attack crafts had the 40mm guns at heaviest. The previous Ryhniemi and Ruisalo classes with 23mm guns and 17 to 18 knot top speed were still defined as minesweepers. They would become the patrol boats in the late 1960s. These undergunned and small vessels did not have a chance in a possible naval battle. The Finnish Navy needed a warship with a bigger gun. The Turunmaa-class was designed to answer this requirement. The development of the corvette began in 1963. The Finnish naval engineers worked on 5 different hull designs and over 30 propulsion variants. After the final design emerged, Helsinki ordered 2 ships in 1963. The first ship of this class, FNS Turunmaa, was laid down in March 1967, launched on July 11, 1967 and commissioned on August 29, 1968. The second corvette, FNS Karjala, became operational 2 months later. The Turunmaa-class was the first and only Finnish-built modern major surface combatant class after the Second World War. Please remember that the construction of the Pohjanmaa-class corvette has not begun yet. Finland classified the vessel as a gunboat. Most probably, Helsinki did not take a risk to cause anxiety over Moscow by using the term corvette. But also, for the Finnish Navy, the term corvette was not familiar. Yet the gunboat was an acquainted term. There were some handicaps of the design of the Turunmaa-class. First of all, the Finnish Navy had been organized for coastal operations to protect the archipelago. The Turunmaa-class was too big for operating around the archipelago. But also, it was too small for the open sea. The design studies of the Turunmaa-class had begun in the early 1960s when the big guns were the most effective weapon systems which the Finnish Navy could get. But after a while, the restriction for the missiles and mines was lifted. Thus, This country laid down FNS Isku missile-equipped training vessel in 1968. In the same year, the Turunmaa-class corvettes were commissioned. Later, Finland decided to locally build 4 Asa-class missile boats, defined as Tuima-class. So, the Turunmaa-class instantly became obsolete when they were commissioned. Why did Finland not attempt to equip these corvettes with missiles? Well, it would not be cost-effective. Instead, Finland started a program to develop an indigenous missile boat which would lead to the Helsinki-class in 1976. The high top speed was crucial for these corvettes, so the Finnish naval engineers preferred a narrow hull design, but it caused steering difficulties. Also, the slim design of the hull and superstructure made the ship crampy for the crew. Still, as mentioned before, the Turunmaa-class attracted international attention with their state-of-the-art propulsion systems and electronics of their time. It was one of the early examples of installing gas turbines in a small naval vessel. The steel-hulled and flash-decked corvette weighed 700 tons at commissioning but gained more than 100 tons during various upgrades. Its superstructure was made of aluminum. There were armor plates attached to critical areas. The Turunmaa-class had the Vosper Thornycraft roll damping equipment. One of the unusual features of these ships was that the large tubular gas turbine exhaust trunks were led over the quarterdeck, discharging over the stern, with their plumes coalescing some 15 meters above the stern. According to Jane's fighting ships, this arrangement enabled the ships to be driven at around 12 knots without using propellers. There are also many other rumors about the speed of the vessel. Some say that the Turunmaa-class with wartime propellers could reach a top speed of 60 knots. But for many sources, its recorded top speed was 37.3 knots. Initially, they had both Eastern and Western electronic systems. But with the modernizations, the Western systems gradually replaced the Eastern ones. For example, the Simrad hull-mounted sonar took the place of the Soviet-built MG-11 sonar, whose NATO reporting name is Stakov. In 1985 to 1986, Finland refitted both ships and updated the entire fire control and communication systems. The complement of the Turunmaa-class was 70 persons. The corvette had a length of 74.1 meters, a beam of 7.8 meters, and a draught of 2.4 meters. Its fully loaded displacement was 770 tons. The propulsion system consisted of one 15,000 horsepower Rolls-Royce Olympus TM1A gas turbine and three 3,000 horsepower MTU MB diesel engines in Kodak configuration. Its maximum speed was 35 knots. The range was 4,630 kilometers, in other words 2,500 nautical miles, at an economical speed of 14 knots. The armament of the Turunmaa-class consisted of one 120mm single-barrel TAK 120mm L46, two 40mm single-barrel SAK 40L 7350s, and two 23mm twin-barrel ZU-23 Sako guns, and two 5-barrel RBU-1200 anti-submarine rocket launchers. It also had the capability of launching depth charges and laying sea mines. The water-cooled TAK 120mm L46 was the naval gun variant of the Bofors FAK 120 X-53, which was initially designed as a land-based anti-aircraft gun against high-altitude air targets. It was capable of firing 8 rounds per minute to a range of 18.5 kilometers. The TAK 120mm L46 had two feed tables, each holding 6 rounds, located on the sides of the automatic loader and beneath the ammunition compartments. It could be fed from either magazine, permitting the loading of 2 different kinds of ammunition. The 3-person crew consisted of 1 operator and 2 loaders. For some former Navy gunners, the TAK 120mm L46 was the best naval gun in Finland. But others claimed that it had problems and was dangerous to use. During a training in 1970, the gun's barrel exploded, which caused minor injuries. Finland used only anti-aircraft and shell-fragmented munitions with the TAK 120mm L46 instead of armor-piercing ones. The Bofors 40mm SAK 40L 7350 had a practical rate of fire of 300 rounds per minute. Its maximum range was 12,500 meters against surface targets and 6,900 meters for air targets. The TAK 120mm L46 and SAK 40L 7350 guns were equipped with an electro-hydraulic laying machinery and was remotely controlled from a central fire control system or an optical director. The IJ-band Signaal WM22 fire control radar of the Turunmaa-class could detect a target at a range of between 30 and 32 kilometers and an altitude of 7,600 meters, in other words 25,000 feet. It could track a target with 1 square meter radar cross-section. The radar could simultaneously engage one air and one surface target at 29 kilometers. There was also the EOS 400 TV tracker laser rangefinder fire directory system on the ship. The ZU-23 Sako was the Finnish-built naval variant of the ZU-23-2, and it had a practical rate of fire of 200 rounds per minute for each barrel. The range of these manually operated anti-aircraft guns was 2 kilometers for surface targets and 1.5 kilometers for air targets. The Finnish gave it the nickname Sergei. A common joke for this anti-aircraft gun was the Sergei doesn't even hit the barn door, but there is nothing left of the barn walls. The RBU-1200 anti-submarine rocket systems were in fixed mountings inside the main deck superstructure. The launchers were being taken out during the fire. A full salvo was taking 12 seconds. The RGB-12 rocket of the RBU-1200 was creating a kill zone of 5 meters in diameter at a depth of 300 meters. It had a 34 kilogram warhead and a range of 1200 meters. Due to the neutral policy of Finland, the career of the Turunmaa-class was uneventful, but it was a significant vessel for the Finnish Navy. These two corvettes were schools where a whole generation of new officers learned to be seamen. Besides, they trained more than 2,000 conscripts during their service time. FNS Turunmaa and FNS Karjala also served as command ships for fast attack craft groups, which consisted of the Nuoli-class motorboats first and then Helsinki-class missile boats. The Turunmaa-class became the doom of the Finnish Riga-class frigates, locally designated as Hameenmaa-class. As mentioned before, the 1947 Paris peace treaties had limited the human power of the Finnish Navy to 4,500 persons. The commissioning of FNS Turunmaa and FNS Karjala caused personnel shortages. So, Finland began to operate only one of its two Riga-class frigates at a time. In 1979, FNS Uusimaa was decommissioned. In the early 1980s, the Finnish Navy converted FNS Hameenmaa to a mine layer first and then retired the ship in 1985. FNS Karjala made many naval visits to the ports of the Baltic and North Seas. Her most distant sailing was to Norway, where in 1982 participated in the Silver Jubilee of the reign of King Olav V of Norway. The Finnish Navy decommissioned its Turunmaa-class corvettes in 2001. FNS Karjala is now a museum ship in the Maritime Museum Forum Marinum in Turku. The Turunmaa-class symbolizes a significant leap for the Finnish naval shipbuilding capability. Even though their weapon systems were already outdated when FNS Turunmaa and FNS Karjala came into the world, they once managed to gain the world's admiration with their extraordinary features. The little-known Turunmaa-class deserved to be mentioned as a secret legend of naval history. Thanks for watching our video, and please don't forget to subscribe to our channel and click the bell button to be notified of our new videos. Also, you can now click the join button to support our channel. And as always, we would greatly appreciate all the likes, comments and shares.